Hey guys, Paul here. So today I wanted to talk a little bit more about the 25th anniversary Dueling Mirrors tins, but also maybe more broadly about Yu-Gi-Oh! Reprint products and the place that I think that they should occupy in the game. Of course, I wanted to hear people's opinions on this as well, so as always, feel free to sound off. Anyway, though, yeah, people have not liked these tins a whole bunch, or at least they've had very mixed reception, right? The set size is very large, and it feels like it maybe doesn't do enough to reduce the prices of cards like SP Little Knight, cards like Triple Tactics Thrust or Encetti still are pretty expensive, and it's just difficult to actually individually pull the cards you need. However, in these tins' defense, a lot of people do seem to be buying them, despite saying that they hate them or saying that they got bad pulls. People are still clearly buying them, and I've even heard that people have enjoyed just getting the rarity upgrades for their decks. I know I certainly have. I was able to get like ultra rare copies of a few different cool cards, Rescue Ace Preventer, and Emergency for my Rescue Ace deck. I got Snow Devil for my Vanquish Soul deck, Vala for my Generator deck. I really love getting those sort of rarity upgrades. And I liked getting those like last year in the tins as well for some of my decks like Exo Sisters or Rika. And so in that way, I actually think that the tins are not like the worst product ever. I've heard some people say like this is the worst Yu-Gi-Oh thing in years, and I don't think that that's true. I think that the tins have, I agree with the idea they've probably been in a bit of a decline, but all this is, I guess, background noise to the real conversation here, which is like, okay, what should a Yu-Gi-Oh product be if it's seeking to like reprint things, or so there's like two types of Yu-Gi-Oh products, right? There are products that release new cards, usually that's like your mainline sets and some spin-off sets, and then there are like reprints. And I mean, I guess there are plenty of products that do both, right? Maze of Millennia or something like that, right? But generally speaking, I think that people see certain products as new and see certain products as like, okay, this is a reprint set. So for me, when there's a Yu-Gi-Oh reprint set, I think that the primary like goal or the job of that product is to get cards reprinted and like in players' hands. So to that end, I think that if something is a reprint set, it should not be printing the cards in the same high rarities that they were in to begin with. So for instance, like SP Little Knight being a secret rare, or prismatic secret rare, I know there's a difference, but it's not much. In these tins, which is the hard thing to pull, right, is the secret rare, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think it's cool if you want these cards to still look like secrets, and maybe you're trying to sell the idea that like, yeah, this SP Little Knight is just as good as the original or whatever. It looks just as pretty and shiny. But I think that SP Little Knight is a card that people want to play. And so they haven't been able to play it for basically a year. When a reprint set comes out, I don't think that it should be like hard to get in that set as well. I think that it should be easy to get. It should be something that people can pull as, at most maybe an ultra rare in the set. I know that they don't even like really do super rares in these anymore, so there's that. But like, I don't know. I think that like SP Little Knight, it's been expensive for a year. It should be cheap and accessible now. The same goes for cards like Wanted and Diabell Star, which I know those don't have as big of a price, so it's not as big of a deal. But there are always going to be, big chase secrets, and that's kind of where your Little Knights and your Thrusts and stuff come in. And so to me, reprint sets that don't actually do very much to improve the accessibility or like, ease of access of cards are not really like doing a great job. The next thing I'd say about these tins in particular is that the set size is huge. For a while, I thought this was like a complete like net negative. Now that I've thought about it more, I don't mind that the set is large. I just think that if it is, you can maybe like switch around the rarities. Like it kind of goes back to the first point. Like SP Little Knight being an ultra would have been better because you get more ultras in a pack, like a 10 mega pack or whatever, than you get secret rares. What is it? It's like one prismatic secret and like 3 ultras or something like that. So, I mean, if it was an ultra, at least your chances of pulling it would be better. I still think you can like criticize the large set size, but there are a lot of really cool reprints in here that people probably want to get, and that's like, you get a large set size when you are trying to reprint that Emergency, the Vanquish Soul, Snow Devil, other random commons and supers getting, foil bumps. Like a good example of a foil bump in the set that I think makes a lot of sense is say like Time Tearing Morganite. It's this card that was a pretty easy to get super rare in its original printing, which I think was, what was that set? Something Chaos, the one that Chaos Angel came in, Cyberstorm Access. But The like main thing is it was easy to get there, and now you can get it as a secret rare upgrade in the tin. The thing is though, it still like doesn't change the fact that getting a time tearing Morganite is easy and it's cheap. This is just something that's kind of flashy for people who want it. To me, like that is the tins at their best, is when they are like rarity upgrading things that feel optional. Like it feels like it's a fun way to sort of flex if you want secret rare Morganites, but you don't have to have secret rare Morganites. This also kind of leads into like the conversation I think people have had for a few years now, really, about like multiple rarities of cards. It's not entirely one-to-one, but like I think in mainline sets, people really would like to see Konami explore the idea of like, okay, a card can come secret and it can also come super. Something sort of similar to how the OCG does it. And I really think that this would be a good thing, like is if you could get a super Little Knight and a secret Little Knight in the same set, and maybe the secret one it's just secret and that's kind of what makes it valuable and cool and you can flex with that. Maybe it has an alternate art in the secret rare printing, but the average player can still just get one and play it. Because fundamentally, at the end of the day, I am more concerned with people getting cards. I think that is more important than anything, is people being able to get the cards and play the cards, because this is a trading card game. And you know, Konami's done this before. They've experimented with it as recently as the Rarity Collection. That was a popular reprint set because it did the max, like the multiple rarities thing, like 7 different rarities for all the different cards. It was really popular because there were A, good cards in it, B, you could get them in any rarity, so it felt fun. You know, you could like collect, oh, I only want this variety of Ash Blossom. I want the prismatic ones. I want the collector's ones. And prices still sort of found their way up and down. Like there are, you know, getting the quarter century versions of the cards was more expensive than getting like the supers or the ultras. But it didn't matter if you were just interested in simply playing the cards, the product did its job. Even though Rarity Collection 2 wasn't as well received as Collection 1, it still did this, and I think it was still like moderately successful for that reason. So to me, I think that that's kind of a bit of a miss for the tins. And then another little thing about the tins is I'm not really sure. I don't love the idea of like kind of putting the anime cards in there as well. I think that really pads out the set even more. And like I don't really want to pull like a QCR Link Spider. I mean, I guess the fact that they only came QCR means that it can't like interfere with your chances of getting, you know, maybe the reprinted Thrust or Little Knight. But I still feel like maybe it just wasn't the place. I don't know. That's more subjective. I'm willing to, you know, yield that point to, like there are people who want kind of anime type cards, and so that's fine because it was sort of different pools of cards. But my main thing is on the rarities of the reprint cards. Okay, last thing I'm gonna say on the whole like mixed rarity system is I am surprised that Konami has not tried to revisit it in mainline sets, and I hope that they do soon, because they've done it before. In the GX era, I think this started with like, you know, Soul of the Duelist or roughly around that time, The Lost Millennium, something like that. They did do cards that were like, you know, rares or supers in the set, and then also had like ultimate rare printings. So there's sort of a case study for it like existing before. Maybe it didn't work very well. I'm not really sure what the sales data on there suggested, but I think it was kind of cool being able to like pull a Lightning Vortex as like a low rarity, but then also like a really high rarity one if you got super lucky or wanted to spend the money. Okay, last thing about reprint sets I want to cover here, because this has sort of been all over the place, is I don't really like the idea that reprint sets are bad because they tank the value of cards. To me, tanking the value of cards isn't relevant to most players. Like I've seen this argument online that like, oh, well, if they make SP too easy to get, then it won't be worth, like, then the people who got like the secret rares or whatever, they'll lose their investment. I don't know. So I know that there are people who are vendors and that sort of thing matters a lot to them. I don't care. I think that this is a trading card game. I think that people want to get cards and play them. Particularly in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where cards value tends to come from playability, not just so much from like how cool it looks or whatever. It's like, I don't know, I think people just want to get Little Knight. Like I don't think that it's a matter of how cool it looks or how like rare or elusive it was. I think people just, like a reprint set should make the card easy to get. It should tank the value. If tanking the value is what happens, too bad for, you know, the wannabe vendor who wants to like, you know, keep the value in his investment. It's a trading card game. Like I think people need to be able to just get the cards and use the cards and be on an even playing ground, because it's not really about like, it shouldn't be about like having $1,000 to play a deck. It should be like you can get the cards And now when you lose, you don't have to say it's because like I couldn't afford Little Knights. I couldn't afford, whatever the $100 card at the time is. Ash Blossom has been that card. Imperm has been that card. Prosperity has been that card in the past. Like all of these cards, I think that everybody should kind of have fairly easy access to the cards, and it should be more about like how you play them, how you choose to play them, not whether or not you can play them. That said, I don't have a problem with like, back when they did Starlight Rares, which I feel like they've kind of diminished that with the QCR thing, but like back when they did Starlight Rares, you could get like a Starlight, Lightning Storm in the set. Cool, great, you can flex with that. That can be worth $300, $400, $500 as long as like there's a Lightning Storm that people can readily access that's like normal for the peasants. And the same thing goes for Ultimates, right, in OTS packs. Like if you want to play Ulti Nibiru because like it's shiny and cool and kind of shows off how good you are at the game, you got one or whatever, cool, great. As long as there are also like easy to get ultra rare reprints of Nibiru that like everybody can have. That's where I think that the value distribution, if there should be any at all, should exist, is like you can have these high rarity versions of cards that you got as like a prize or as like a super rare pull. Fine, cool, those can have the value. I just think that everybody should like have access to the cards. So I'm not concerned with the idea that the tins would tank the value of someone's investments and the triple tactics thrusts. Doesn't mean anything to me. Okay, so that's it. I've gone on long enough about this. I think that covered pretty much everything that I had to say. So yeah, I would love to hear what you guys think about the tins. Again, I don't think that these are the worst thing ever. I've heard a lot of people have been buying them and trading and stuff at locals and having fun. So I don't think that it's like been a complete failure. I'd still love to see the rarity distributions in these change. I would also like to see the return of promos, but whatever, who knows? That's Konami's prerogative. All right, I will see you guys in the next one. Oh, by the way, if you want, join the APS Amplifier channel members. It's really cool. It's a way to support the podcast, really, but you can just join it in general if you want to help. Cool, so I actually said that. All right, see you guys in the next one. Fast turn.